Being overemployed can make you a lot of money, sometimes 2 or 3 salaries combined for your yearly pay. But being overemployed can also get you sued for a lot of money, making you have legal problems, go into debt, and so on. Let's dive in. Hi guys, it's the Test Lead. And if you're new to my channel, I make content and videos to help you on your software testing and automation journey. Today's topic is overemployed, which in recent years has become very popular. But what does being overemployed even mean? Understanding overemployment. Being overemployed means you're working at least 2 or more full-time jobs at the same time. Usually they're remote, and if you're lucky, in different time zones, so they don't conflict. And because you're working full-time jobs, you're making full-time salaries, which more money, more happiness, and sometimes more problems, but we'll get to that later. This peaked when the world was shut down and every company was forced to go remote. Companies, being desperate for workers, would sometimes hire anyone for in-demand jobs. Along with this came mass hirings from the big tech companies like Meta and Amazon and Google, which later had mass firings to offset. But during this period, a lot of big companies saw a potential for growth in their industry, so they wanted to have enough workers to fulfill that growth. Websites like Overemployed.com were created to help people who are in this situation. There, they can get support, advice, and hear other stories from people in similar situations. You can go to Overemployed.com, and even on Reddit, there's subreddits for overemployed, and hear people's stories. They'll talk about making 200, 300, $500,000 in a year working multiple jobs. Some people will say, yeah, it's easy, it's remote, no company knows about each other, and they live the dream life, or so they say. Other people will say it's stressful, hiding one job from another, and meeting after meeting, they never sleep, and so on. So now, while we're on a topic, let's break down the pros and cons of being overemployed. Pros: increased income. By default, working an extra full-time job means you'll make extra money. Maybe right now you're making $60K in your current full-time job. If you add another full-time job making, let's say, $50K, now your total pay for the year is $110K. So by default, a pro is more income. Next, skill development. In your current full-time role, you may have just a set job every day. You only do manual testing or only use a certain tool. By having another job, you get exposure to different tools, different coding languages, different management systems, and so on. So by doing so, you can also build your skill set. It'll probably be overwhelming, but that's on you. Now, because nothing's perfect, the cons. Burnout. Working 2 or more full-time jobs usually means you'll be working more hours. That leads to burnout. Think about it. If you work maybe 8 or 9 hours for one full-time job, imagine another one. If you're the best time management person, that'll still be an extra 2 or 4 hours tacked onto your workday. And if you're a terrible time management person, That's going to be at least a 16-hour workday every working day. And that can quickly lead to burnout. Even right now, if you work a full-time job, maybe every hour or hour and a half, get up, get some water, look outside. Don't just for 8 hours straight sit at your desk typing away. It's not healthy. Quick break. If you need help on your software testing journey, check out my website, thetestinglead.com. I have content, courses, and many other resources to help you on your journey. Now, back to the video. Quality of life. I know this one firsthand. If you're always working, it's hard to balance quality of life. Your relationships, your friendships, other just personal time for yourself to relax. If you're always working, those other aspects will be affected. Last but not least, probably the most important one, legal issues. This one, everybody who pushes being overemployed and working multiple jobs, they never talk about this one. Either because they're trying to sell you something or they themselves just haven't had a situation yet. But in today's world, because a lot of people who were overemployed were bragging about working here and there, companies saw that. So now when you sign on to a company, you sign a bunch of paperwork, a bunch of documentation, a bunch of legal stuff. Most companies will now state in big bold letters, you can't have another full-time job while working for them. If you do, they can take legal action on you. That's very important. If a company finds out that you had another job, 1, you're getting fired. 2, if they're being petty, they'll reach out to the other job and tell them as well. So now you went from having 2 incomes to no incomes. Next, the tech market isn't that big. You can get blackballed for working 2 jobs. Usually, when you try to apply for a new job, they're going to say, well, why did you leave the last company? And do you have any references from the last company? If you can't get a reference because you left on bad terms, that's bad. And then from the legal part, if you clearly agree to not work another full-time job and get caught working a full-time job, you can get sued, possible light jail action, but still, that's going on your record forever. And you have to tell future employers, have you gone to jail? If so, why? Yeah, you know, when I was younger, I was working multiple jobs and I was being disloyal and I got sued for it and had legal action taken against me and got arrested. That's hard to explain to a future employer. They're going to say, wait, hold on. You did what? Yeah, you know, right now we're not going to go forward in the hiring process with you, but good luck. So you not only lose your incomes, you get sued, have to pay legal fees, and will have to pay for any ending in court. So like I said, a bunch of stuff that's very risky. Is it realistic today? Me personally, I have multiple jobs, but I only work 1 full-time job. And when I signed on to my full-time job, I let them know clearly on my other side stuff. That way I'm being transparent. I'm not hiding anything. I won't be sued later. No. They know from the beginning, this is going to be my only full-time job. My YouTube, teaching, refereeing, everything else is on the side and doesn't conflict. Now you're probably asking, well, what about you? If you have the skill set and want the extra money, do what you have to do. But if you are, I suggest just being transparent. That way you don't have to stress and hide around working multiple jobs. Because working multiple jobs full time, especially if they're in the same time zone, gets kind of hard. Normally, in every company, you have a daily meeting to start the day. What do you do when both companies and teams you work for have meetings at the same time every day? You can't be in both places at one time, even virtually. It's physically impossible. How are you going to give an update here for company A, as well as pay attention, give an update to company B? Also, if you're going to do it, make sure you're good at handling stress, because it's going to be stressful. Having to go from here and here, context switching. Okay, I'm doing task A for this banking company. Okay, now I got to switch to for this finance company doing task B. And now back to this and back to that. It's going to be a lot of context switching. But once again, if you have the skill set and want the money, go ahead. Especially as you move up in the field and your skill set is more valuable, more companies want it. Like I said, my only advice is just be transparent. Because the other thing is, a lot of companies have non-compete clauses, meaning you definitely can't work for any direct competitor to them. So if you're going to do it, make sure you're transparent, read documentation, try not to stress out too much, and good luck. There are resources like Overemployed.com, the Overemployed subreddit. There's probably like Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, and so on. So if you're going to do it, just be smart about it and use those resources. If you're just starting out and you saw somebody selling you on being overemployed, I would not suggest that at all. Having just one full-time job is going to be overwhelming. Having more than one is going to be physically impossible. So whoever told you that you can have multiple jobs as soon as you enter the field, go back to them and say, hey, you're lying to me, or you're misleading me, because it's not going to be easy if possible. If you found this video helpful at all, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to be overemployed or are currently overemployed, leave some feedback. I want to hear firsthand from people who are doing it. And last but not least, don't forget this, learn something new today.